Hello there, very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1 for the News First, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan.
And I'm Rochelle Thamodar. Let's start off with a look at our headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
President explains his plan to rebuild Sri Lanka. Promises tax relief in the upcoming budget. IMF delegation to arrive in Sri Lanka on the 14th of November. Former State Minister Lohan Ratwatte and wife remanded. Sajid accuses President of failing to fulfill promises. Upcoming election is a chance to save Parliament, says Ranil. Prime Minister calls for policy-driven MPs in Parliament. Kamala Harris congratulates Donald Trump, assures him of peaceful transfer of power.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Out of those stories in detail. President Anurukumara Dissanayake said that the new government's first budget will ease the public's tax burden, including VAT, once it takes effect.
Speaking on a Satana program on our sister channel Sirasa TV last night, he said that a delegation from the International Monetary Fund will arrive on the 14th of November to discuss the next step of Sri Lanka's EFF.
The president also addressed a series of ongoing accusations against the government.
We took over the government after it had reached an agreement with the International Monetary Fund. At this juncture, we had two paths. One is to disregard the agreed parameters and take control by stepping out of this program. The second is to remain within the program and choose more constructive measures for a better outcome. I believe it is not feasible for our country's economy to emerge from this situation at this moment because such a significant shock would not benefit the economy. It is essential for us to recognize that we must achieve our economic goals while ensuring the people's right to a decent life is preserved. Therefore, we are working closely with the International Monetary Fund. Recently, our officials travelled to Washington for discussions and they will return to Sri Lanka on the 14th. Since we are in active dialogue, I have high hopes, as you mentioned, that there will be a revision to the payee tax. A constructive revision will be made and this will be reflected in the upcoming budget.
Did the government print money?
In the past, there was significant opposition to the idea of printing money. When people talked about printing money, they were referring to treasury bonds or treasury bills being purchased by the central bank. What does the central bank do in this case? It prints money and credits it to the treasury. This is where the opposition to printing money originally came from. However, the central bank has a crucial role to play. Its primary responsibility is to manage the money supply and regulate monetary policy within the market. If there is an excess of money circulating in the economy, the central bank's response is to sell bonds it holds in the market, effectively withdrawing that excess liquidity from circulation. There is another method as well: liquidity management. This means that if there is a shortage of money in the market, the government will step in and issue bonds in the secondary market, not directly from the government but other bondholders. What does the central bank do in this case? It prints money, then uses it to buy back bonds from the market. Why is this done? To stabilize the financial markets. This is the duty of the central bank. The central bank has not been printing money to directly fund government borrowing or to create new debt.
Will the government catch the thieves?
අනිවාර්යෙන් පරීක්ෂණ කළ යුතු කරුණු ටිකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් අපිට එකක් තියෙනවා ක්‍රමවේද එකක් තියෙනවා එකක් අපේ අල්ලස්සෝ දූෂණ කොමිෂන් සභාව.
There are certain issues that have triggered significant unrest as well as critical matters that must be thoroughly examined. We have established a process for this, one of which is the commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. The system in place is robust. Recently, there was the sudden resignation of the Director General. As a result, it is essential that we appoint a new Director General. This is not within our direct control as the authority to do so lies with the Constitutional Council. The Constitutional Council has already made an announcement and is in the process of appointing a new Director General. On another note, there were many files with the FCID, some of which contained highly sensitive material, and some of these files were also with me. However, there were other files I did not have access to. All of these files were sealed by the FCID. Afterward, the CID took over the investigation. As of now, all these files remain in limbo. Therefore, we instructed the Secretary of the Ministry of Public Security to categorize these files and review where they are held and which departments are responsible for them. We also instructed that investigations continue without any obstruction, with no interference or delays. Now, it is imperative that we appoint more qualified and capable officers. We are in the process of selecting skilled and efficient officers, but due to the upcoming elections, the Police Commission has issued a statement indicating that no transfers or appointments can be made at this time. Once the elections are over, it will be essential to reinforce this mechanism. Strengthening the system is crucial, and we are already taking steps towards that goal. Regarding the case of Arjuna Mahendran, we held discussions with the Attorney General about bringing him to Sri Lanka. The Attorney General raised some legal challenges in this matter. As a result, we have decided to formally contact the government of Singapore. They have presented an argument stating that there are no significant legal obstacles preventing this case from being pursued. We are continuing our efforts to address this issue. As for the Easter Sunday attacks, high-level charges have now been filed. After these charges were submitted, the investigation was concluded. If we wish to reopen the investigation or press new charges, we will need to seek judicial approval. Therefore, we will request the court's authorization at the next hearing.
ඊළඟ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය ගත්තොත් පාස්කු ප්‍රහාර දැන් තියෙන අධිචෝදනා ගොනු කරලා තිබෙන්නේ අධිචෝදනා ගොනු කරාට පස්සේ පරීක්ෂණ ක්‍රියාවලිය අවසන් නැවත අධිචෝදනා ගොනු කරලා තිබෙන පරීක්ෂණයක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න නම් අධිකරණය යලි අවසර ලබා ගත යුතුයි. එඳ ඊළඟ නඩු දිනේදී අධිකරණය අවසර අපව ගන්න ඕන.
Was criticism raised over the government's new appointments?
එකක් තමයි අපි දැනට තානාපති සේවයේ දේශපාලන පත්වීම් වල අපි කැඳවලා තිබෙනවා. අපි අපේක්ෂා කරන ඉලක්කයක් තියෙනවා.
One matter is that we have invited people with political backgrounds to serve in the diplomatic service. We have set clear objectives, and to achieve these goals, we are hopeful of appointing capable and dedicated groups of ambassadors. The individuals we have appointed so far are fully trustworthy. A significant number of these ambassadors do not receive salaries, nor do they have access to vehicles, fuel allowances or any other benefits. They work entirely without these privileges. Additionally, as you mentioned, Hans Vijay Surya, he still had several years remaining in his role at a globally recognized leading institution. However, despite this, he voluntarily stepped down from his position and chose to serve without a salary, offering his expertise without financial compensation, even while carrying out responsibilities at an international level. Both of the economic advisors I appointed also work without any salary. For instance, Hulangamo, whom I appointed as an economic advisor, traveled to Washington for an IMF meeting at his own expense. He paid for the trip out of his own pocket, given that there was a lack of trust in others.
ගෑස් සමාගමේ සභාපතිවරයා මේවා පොඩි තැන් නෙමෙයි වැටුප් රහිත වැඩ කරන්නේ. මේ ආදී විශාල පිරිසක් වැටුප් රහිත වැඩ.
What is the next step?
මේ පරිවර්තනය ආත්මහරින පරිවර්තනයක් මේ කලිතු පරිවර්තනයක්. මේක අපි ගීතේ ලිව්වේ.
This is a transformation that should not be disregarded. It is a transformation that must be made. Generations of our people have dreamt this dream. You may remember, I once came to this program and said that one day, somehow, this would happen. I was on the brink of death, not as someone who succeeded in accomplishing this task, but as someone who had made the effort. What I mean is, we never thought that during our lifetime we would have the opportunity to seize power and change things. But still, we believed, I will keep trying. I will keep trying and keep striving. Even when I was bedridden, I imagined myself as someone who had struggled to bring about change. But today, we have the opportunity to make that change. And so, when the opportunity for change arrived, I am willing to offer it to both, as someone who has completed that transformation. Therefore, this is not a lie, a satire or hypocrisy. This is the honest testimony of our hearts. So if we fail to achieve this political victory, what does it mean for the citizens of this country to achieve the political victory they must? If we do not build such leadership, such a team, such a society, what kind of society do we expect? What kind of leadership do we expect? And what kind of team do we expect? This is what truly becomes the will of the people.
අපි අපේක්ෂා කරන සමාජය මොකක්ද අපි අපේක්ෂා කරන නායකයෝ මොකක්ද අපි අපේක්ෂා කරන කණ්ඩායම මේක තමයි පොදු ජනයාගේ වුණාම බවට පත් වෙන්නේ.
Two newly appointed ambassadors to Sri Lanka presented their credentials to President Anurukumara Dissanayake at the President's office today.
Ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Adel Ibrahim, paid courtesy calls on President following the presentation of credentials.
The ambassador-designate of the Arab Republic of Egypt will present credentials to His Excellency the President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Ambassador of Japan Isomata Akio also handed over his credentials and engaged in conversation with the President.
The ambassador-designate of Japan will present credentials to His Excellency the President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Former State Minister Lohan Ratwatte and his wife have been remanded until the 18th of November under charges related to the use of a vehicle that was illegally assembled. The order was issued after they were produced before Newsfirst magistrate Lohan Ratwatte today.
The luxury vehicle without a valid number plate was discovered in a 3-story residence at Shalava Road in Ambulania, Mirihana. The residence belonged to former State Minister's wife, Shashi Prabha Ratwatte. Investigations by the Mirihana police revealed that the luxury vehicle was illegally assembled. On the 30th of October, Lohan Ratwatte was arrested by the Mirihana police at Katugastara and produced to court, where he was remanded in custody. Shashi Prabha Ratwatte appeared before the Newsfirst Magistrate Court on the 4th of November. Thereafter, she was taken into custody and remanded until today.
The vehicle's chassis number was confirmed by the government analyst to be a fraudulent number. Based on this evidence, the suspects Lohan Ratwatte and his wife were presented before the magistrate today. During this hearing, we, along with the Mirihana police, provided updates on the progress of the investigation and our findings. Our investigation revealed that the suspect had been using this vehicle since 2020, repeatedly swapping its license plates with fraudulent ones and using them on another vehicle, a Toyota Lexus. We have also obtained video footage showing the suspect using the vehicle on multiple occasions, which has been submitted to the government analyst today for further examination. In addition to the charges under the Motor Traffic Act and the Penal Code, the case also involves offences under the Customs Ordinance. The Director of Customs appeared in court today to testify. The investigation has expanded to include violations under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act following the 2011 amendments. The Act covers unlawful activities related to customs violations and asset investigations, which are also covered under the Money Laundering Prevention Act. We have presented these matters to the magistrate for consideration.
පනතේ තියෙනවා නීති විරෝධී ක්‍රියාකාරකම් යන්නට රේගු ආඥා පනතට වැටෙන වැරදිත් වත්කම් විමර්ශන යටතට ගන්න පුළුවන් මනි ලොන්ඩරින් ඇක්ට් එක යටතට. ඒ අනුව අපි ඒ පිළිබඳවත් මම කරුණුකරු මහේස්ත්‍රාත්තුමයට ඉදිරිපත් කළා. දැන් ඔහුගේ අර මියගිය ලේකම්වරයාගේ සම්බන්ධයක් මේ වාහනයත් එක්ක ඔහු ප්‍රකාශයක් දීලා තිනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධව මොකක්ද එළි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? පොලිසියට ප්‍රකාශය දීලා තිබුණා මේක ලේකම් මියගිය ලේකම්.
The statement given to the police suggested that the vehicle belonged to the late secretary. However, our investigators have thoroughly examined the matter and uncovered that this claim is false. The suspect has been using this vehicle since 2020. We have presented written evidence and video recordings to the magistrate to substantiate our findings.
Sri Lanka decides.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday said that the upcoming election is an opportunity to save Parliament.
A party meeting in support of the New Democratic Front was held in Gampaha yesterday, with former President Ranil Wickremesinghe chairing the event.
දැන් ඊළඟ දවස් කීපේ මේ සංවිධානය වටේ ගිහින් අපිට ඡන්දෙ දුන්න ඇයට ආපහු ඇවිල්ලා සිලින්ඩරයට ඡන්දෙ දෙන්න කියලා මතක් කරනවා. සජ්ජබේ නායකත්වයේ අනුර සරණං ගච්ඡාමි, හරිනී සරණං ගච්ඡාමි, විජිත සරණං ගච්ඡාමි කියන එකට අකමැති සජ්ජබේ ඡන්දදායකින්ගේ සහයෝගයත් අරගන්න. අපි එවන්නේ පළපුරුද්ද තියන අය.
We send experienced figures to Parliament, and that is what Parliament requires. A significant amount of work was done in the previous Parliament. When I became President, I had only one person. I had only myself, but I was supported despite the differences whenever I requested it. I am in this position today because of that support. What would have happened if I hadn't received any support? It would have completely collapsed. The people here are those who can work under pressure. That is why experienced people are also contesting to enter the next parliament. The president says this is a thieves' den. If that were true, why weren't actions taken against them back then? The law to catch thieves, the Anti-Corruption Act, was implemented by this parliament after I became president. If there are thieves, there is a document discussed in parliament that allows for confiscation of stolen properties. If there were thieves, this wouldn't have happened.
දේපල රාජසන්තර කරන කෙටුම් පතාද පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ තියෙන සාකච්ඡා කළා. හුරු ඉන්නවා නම් ඒව කරන්න. මේ රටේ 158ක් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ගැන විශ්වාසය තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ ඡන්දේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව බේරගන්න ඡන්දයක් කියලා මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කියන්න කැමතියි.
Another public rally, a part of the series of rallies organised by the Samagi Janabala Wegaya, was held in Gampaha yesterday. SJB leader Sajid Premadasa expressed these views.
මම අහන්න කැමති අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ කෝවර වේදිකාවේ පාස්පෝර්ට් පොලිමට ලබා දෙනවයි කියපු විසඳුම.
I would like to ask the President where the solutions to the passport queue are and what has happened to the promises he made on stage. He says one thing on stage and does another off stage. He said he would not follow the fuel price formula, but now he is a prisoner to it. Do you remember when he said he would reduce the electricity tariff from 9,000 to 6,000 and from 3,000 to 2,000? Anura Kumar Disanayaka, who promised a 30% reduction in electricity tariffs, has completely abandoned the electricity consumers today. He also promised to reduce the tax burden, including indirect taxes, direct taxes, VAT, APIT and payee taxes once he came to power. But what happened in the end? He had two discussions with the IMF and then surrendered to them after making promises to the public. Today, the people of this country are under pressure, feeling sad, worried and distraught. I would like to mention at this moment that our government will work hard for the people.
මේ රටේ ජනතාවට තමන්ගේ ජීවිත රැකගන්නට පුළුවන් ශක්තිමත් ජීවනෝපායක් බිහි කරන්නට අපේ රජයක් තුල අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම කැප වෙනවයි කියන එක මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
National organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Namal Rajapaksa, questioned the future plans of the government to manage debts.
The people who claimed that millions were stolen and that when they came to power they would bring back the stolen money, who also said they wouldn't take any loans and that having a moneylender as president would suffice, are now denying that they ever said we took money to Uganda. They now say that it is needed to take loans. They say there is no problem in taking loans if they can be paid back. We are asking the government what their debt settlement plan is. If loans are taken to pay the debts, should the next person as well take loans to pay them? What is the government's plan for making the treasury profitable? What are the government's reforms in child education? We must address the question of what plan is to increase the government's revenue. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya stressed the importance of sending law-abiding, principled and honest candidates to Parliament this time. She expressed these views at a meeting with a group of university lecturers in Kandy yesterday.
අපිට වැඩ කරන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් අවශ්‍යයි. අපිට දැන් වැඩ කරන ජනාධිපති කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා.
We need a capable parliament. Currently we have a strong president, but we have lacked a competent parliament. We view November 14th as a second phase of the revolution that began on the 21st of September, with the goal of building a parliament with real potential. During a conversation with Anura, he reminded us that we are not just seeking a change in numbers, but a change in the quality of parliament. Therefore, we cannot be content with merely a shift in the composition until we achieve the level of quality we expect in Parliament. It is Parliament that enacts laws, manages finances and implements policies. If we want a change in quality, we have only one request. Please send a group of law-abiding, principled and honest individuals to Parliament. To create policies, one must first understand what those policies entail. To make laws, one must first understand how to abide by the law. We cannot expect individuals who lack integrity to manage public finances or oversee the budget effectively.
ප්‍රතිපත්ති මොනවද කියලා දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. නීති හදනවා නම් නීති වලට ගරු කරන්න පුළුවන් අය වෙන්න ඕනේ. හොරුන් යවලා අයවැය අධීක්ෂණයයි පාලනයයි මුදල් පාලනයයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න බෑ.
Newsfirst with the people.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Srinath Pereira, number 3 from National People's Party, Colombo District.
A clean parliament powered by NPP. Jatika Janabalavegya. A clean parliament powered by NPP. Jatika Janabalavegya.
I'm also with Marikar, SM Marikar, number 16, Samaki Janasandhana, Colombo District.
Mujibur Rahman, SJB, Colombo District, number 12.
Strength of the nation. Vote Rosie Senanayake, number 14, from the gas cylinder.
Birisudu Mahatma Deshapalane Colombo Sannamaya, Acharya Ram. Anka 7, Samagi Janabalavegya.
Welcome back to the news. Lately, there's been conversation brewing about money tied to Uganda. But what's the real story? Here's a look at it.
What happened to Sri Lanka?
Let's rewind. Between 2010 and 2015, Sri Lanka had strong ties with Uganda. But in 2015, the government changed. Fast forward to May 2016, when Uganda's president was re-elected, Sri Lanka's former president was there, attending the swearing-in ceremony in Kampala. The former president, who was just an MP at the time, attended the ceremony without an official invitation. And that's not all. He took the trip at the country's expense. He requested the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for funds for flights and hotels. His business class ticket alone cost 425,000 rupees. Why would an MP take a trip on the taxpayers' money with no official invitation? In September 2016, Uganda was placed on the EU's money laundering blacklist. But the real drama didn't unfold until 2021. December 2021. This is when things got serious. A private jet touched down in Ratmalana from Uganda, and this private jet was registered in a tax haven. It wasn't just any flight. A high-ranking official from the government then took this jet. He was heading to India for a pilgrimage.
When looking at the flight details of the private jet T7-JSG, the jet has landed on the BIA from India on the 10th of this month. On the 10th itself, the jet has travelled to the Jomo Kenyatta Airport in Kenya. The jet has travelled within Kenya on the 14th. On the same day, they have left Kenya from the Bukoba Airport of Tanzania. On the 15th, they have left Tanzania for Kampala. Then from Kampala, they have come to Ratmalana once again on the 16th. After arriving in Ratmalana on the 16th, the jet has travelled to Cochin and Chennai before travelling to Tirupati on the 23rd. It came back to Sri Lanka from Tirupati on the 24th and have gone to the Indira Gandhi Airport in New Delhi on the 27th. Son of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, Yoshida Rajapaksa, commenting to a daily newspaper, had said that no payments have been made for the jet and that these trips were funded by a close associate of the Rajapaksas. Whoever it is that gives money, it is public funds that are being wasted in this manner. The issue here is that who flew to Cochin and Chennai on this jet and what was carried in this jet. Only a very rich person can travel in a jet like this. The hourly charge for a Legacy 600 jet like this is $6,700 So approximately 32 million rupees must have been spent for this jet on a daily basis.
Some suggest a former Ugandan ambassador was also behind this. Yet, there was no official investigation. But wait, this isn't the only incident. Back in February 2021, just after the government changed, another plane heading to Uganda from Colombo raised suspicions. Some claimed that money was being smuggled on this flight. It was revealed that over 100 tons of goods had been transported on this flight, based on information shared on social media by the Airline Pilots Guild of Sri Lanka. In the ensuing discussions, Sri Lankan Airlines issued a clarification. They said that in 2022, under a request from the Ugandan government, they had transported printed Ugandan currency notes that had been produced in secure printing facilities in Sri Lanka and other countries. The transportation was handled by a British company which had rented Sri Lankan Airlines aircraft for this purpose. At that time, Sri Lankan Airlines also said that due to COVID-19 pandemic, this contract had provided the airline with much needed revenue. Now let's take a closer look at this again. In February 2021, Sri Lankan Airlines flew a British company's rented aircraft to Uganda, transporting over a ton of Ugandan currency notes. Then, in December 2021, a private jet arrived at Ratmalana from Uganda, carrying a high-profile individual who then flew to India. So, what's really going on here? There's an old English saying, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it probably is a duck. Well, something definitely seems off here. These are just a few of the events, but there are plenty more connected to this issue. If you take a closer look at each of these incidents, it's not hard to figure out what's really going on. And let's not forget, in 2018, Sri Lanka itself was added to the European Union's list of high-risk countries for money laundering. So, the bottom line is, if we dig deeper into these events, a lot more will be uncovered.
The power of the people.
General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Attorney Sagar Karyawasam, expressed his views at a media briefing held at the Battramula party office today. He said that proper investigations should be carried out regarding the allegations that money was taken to foreign countries.
නිදහසෙන් පස්සේ මේ රටට ආර්ථික සංවර්ධනයක් ගෙනපු යටිතල පහසුකම් සංවර්ධනය කරපු නායකයාට
After independence, the leader who brought the economic development and built the infrastructure of this country was falsely and repeatedly accused of being a thief, despite the fact that his work was crucial at the time. It was the Janata Vimukti Peramuna that spearheaded these attacks. Even Anagarika Dharmapala faced similar accusations. While he was alive, people labelled him as a thief. Now, after his death, they have put up statues and hail him as a hero. That is the nature of our people. I request you to conduct a thorough investigation into all these false allegations made. If you claim that money was taken to Uganda, Seychelles and Singapore, prove it. Show us the evidence or restore his reputation by correcting all the false accusations. This would be the greatest service you could provide to this country, instead of constantly pointing fingers at the former government. Why not deliver the promised relief to the people? You are still doing the same things you did when you were in the opposition. It seems you have yet to understand the true responsibility that comes with being the ruling party.
In
the past few days, information regarding financial transactions of several political parties have been revealed by people within those parties. Speaking at the media briefing, the United Democratic Voice expressed these views.
We filed a complaint with the police yesterday, and today we are ready to file a complaint with the Criminal Investigation Department. This concerns a man named Prasanna Adhikari, who has been signing nominations on behalf of our party and who is supposed to represent the interests of our party to the country. However, during our first media briefing, he claimed that he does politics while riding a motorcycle. And indeed, that was the Prasanna Adhikari we knew. But when he seemed intent on tarnishing the reputation of the United Democratic Voice, he arrived in a car. Who gave him this car? Who is leading him? And how much has he been offered? This is a serious issue for us. At our second media briefing, he arrived in a Defender with a car in front and another Defender behind. He had around 7 to 8 people assigned to his security detail. What is the purpose of this team? What were the intentions behind providing a Defender to Prasanna Adhikari? What are they expecting from him? We have handed over all the relevant details, including the Defender, to the police.
A clean parliament powered by NPP Jatika Jana Balavegya.
Birisudu Mahatma Deshapalane Kolamba Sannamaya Acharya Ram. Anka 7 Samagi Jana Balavegya.
Welcome back to the news. A private plaint has been filed accusing Maithripala Sirisena of committing a criminal offence by failing to take action to prevent the Easter Sunday attacks, despite receiving intelligence indicating that attacks were imminent. Appearing on behalf of Maithripala Sirisena before the Court of Appeal today, President's Counsel Dr. Faiz Mustafa informed the Court of Appeal that issuing summons on former President Maithripala Sirisena by the Fourth Magistrates Court was pursuant to a private plaint filed instituting a criminal action over his failure to prevent the Easter Sunday attacks.
A writ petition filed by former President Maithripala Sirisena at the Court of Appeal seeks an order dismissing the criminal action instituted over his failure to prevent the Easter Sunday attacks. The petition was taken up before a 5-judge bench presided over by Sobhita Rajakarna. The private plaint was filed by Father Cyril Gamini and N. Jesudasan, a victim of the attacks at the Colombo Magistrates Court. At the hearing of the petition, President's Counsel Dr. Faiz Mustafa, representing Maithripala Sirisena, argued that the accusations against his client, including the issuance of the order by the Magistrates Court, were unlawful. He said that the case was filed against him without any proper evidence. The petition will be taken up again on the 17th of December.
2 people were shot in Kimbulgana, Vennapur and are currently hospitalized.
The shooting targeted a person who had arrived at a home for renovation. At the time of the incident, the 2 individuals involved were riding a motorcycle. The gunfire caused minor injuries to both of them as well as to a nearby woman. One of the men was shot in the shoulder while the other was admitted to the Maravilla Base Hospital for treatment.
Republican Donald Trump will be the next US president after historic victory that will send him back to the White House. The race with Democratic Kamala Harris had been thought to be on a knife edge, but overnight results showed Trump had secured enough votes to win.
He will be the first former president to return to office in more than 130 years and at 78, the oldest man ever elected to the role. Newsfirst Budbin Amaradivakar brings you a detailed report about the very latest from the United States of America.
During the past 2 days, we brought details to you about the US presidential election 2024, starting from the election history and to the very latest election results which were reported yesterday. So when the election campaign started, a lot said that the next president of the United States of America will be decided by the swing states. So what happened? What is the very latest? Let's have a look.
Republican candidate Donald Trump, who is also US's 45th president, staged a historic comeback when he was declared the winner of the 2024 presidential election yesterday, defeating his rival and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. Through his victory, Trump made history by becoming only the 2nd former president to win a non-consecutive second term after Grover Cleveland in 1892, which was over 130 years ago. Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, makes history as the youngest vice president of the United States of America. The Republican candidate comfortably cleared the 270 electoral vote threshold required to win the White House. There had been fears that extremely close races in some of the key battleground swing states might have left the results uncertain. But earlier than expected wins in North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, coupled with victories in solidly Republican states, meant he reached the 270 electoral votes needed to secure the presidency.
By now, you know that Donald Trump has earned the majority of the votes that he needs to win the White House in this year's presidential election 2024. So early this morning, his opponent, Kamala Harris, addressed her supporters and also the nation following the victory of her opponent, Donald Trump. So this is what she had to say.
My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up and as long as we keep fighting. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran and the way we ran it. over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
Here are more details about the 47th President of the United States of America. Let's have a look.
Donald Trump is a prominent American businessman, television personality and politician who served as the 45th President of the United States from the 20th January 2017 to the 20th January 2021. Before his political career, he was best known for his real estate empire, primarily through his company, the Trump Organization. He also gained significant media attention as the host of the reality TV show The Apprentice, which aired from 2004 to 2015. Trump's political rise began in earnest when he announced his candidacy for president in 2015 as a Republican. Running on a populist and nationalist platform, he won the 2016 election against the Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton in a surprise victory despite losing the popular vote. Trump left office after losing the 2020 US presidential election to Joe Biden. Donald Trump, who served as the 45th President of the United States from 2017 to 2021, announced his campaign for the 2024 US presidential election on the 15th November 2022. On the 30th May 2024, Trump became the first former president to be convicted of a crime when a New York State jury convicted him on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in connection with the hush money payment in 2016 to the adult film star Stephanie Clifford. On 6th November 2024, Donald Trump, who contested for the US presidential election with his main opponent, Kamala Harris, earned the majority of the Electoral College votes to become the 47th President of the United States of America by making history.
On the 20th of January 2025, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States of America. What will he do? Let's wait and see.
A clean parliament powered by NPP Jatika Jana Balavegaya.
පවුල් 557ක් පමණ ජීවත් වන ගම්මානයක්. තිබහට බොන්න වතුර නෑ. තිබුණත් ඒ වතුර පිරිසිදු නෑ. කිලෝමීටර ගණනක් දුර ගෙවාගෙන යනවා. පිරිසිදු ජලය සොයාගෙන ජීවිතය දුෂ්කර වෙලා. අනුරාධපුර මධ්‍යම නුවරගම් පළාතේ පරසන් ගස්වැව ජනතාවගේ දුක නිවාලමින් ජල පෙරණියකට ගම්මැද්දින් මුල්ගල තැබූ වගයි.
In line with the French cultural season, the Embassy of France in Sri Lanka yesterday hosted a special screening of The Count of Monte Cristo.
Je suis innocent! J'ai rien fait, je suis innocent!
Il vivra. Et pour tout le monde, il sera mort.
The Embassy of France in Sri Lanka hosted a special screening of the classic French film The Count of Monte Cristo in Colombo, drawing a crowd of film enthusiasts and cultural aficionados eager to experience a cinematic adaptation of the renowned literary masterpiece by Alexandre Dumas. The event, which took place last night, was part of the Embassy's ongoing initiative to promote French culture and cinema in Sri Lanka.
It's really nice, yeah. It's a story that all French people knows, you know. It's very famous.
It's a very good film.
It was a very great movie, very emotional. So I recommend to everyone to watch this movie.
I loved it. I loved it.
We invite all the audience to come and enjoy this French big hit that was released in 2024, a few months ago.
The attendees at the screening were not only treated to a cinematic masterpiece, but also had the opportunity to engage with fellow film lovers and cultural enthusiasts from both Sri Lanka and France. The public screening of The Count of Monte Cristo will be held on Saturday.
Sri Lanka has been recognized at the Wanderlust Travel Awards 2024, earning top honours as the most desirable island.
Sri Lanka has won the Gold Award for Most Desirable Island in the Wanderlust Reader Travel Awards, making an impressive leap from last year's 8th place to take the top spot. Voted on by 3 million travellers, the award highlights Sri Lanka's captivating landscapes and rich history that continues to enchant visitors worldwide. In other categories, Australia was voted Most Desirable Country, while Tokyo took the title of Most Desirable City.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.